Alrighty. Have you ever thought that unknown variables make no sense?
Yeah, I thought that a lot.
Yeah. You're just learning algebra for the first time, and we all of a sudden have letters in our expressions. And I think that sometimes that just makes no sense. We're very used to having numbers, and we're seeing those. We can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and now all of a sudden we have letters. Today we're going to use a tool, a manipulative, to use objects to represent those unknown variables. So this is a strategy that you can use to help make sense of these algebraic expressions.
Sounds good.
Yeah?
Sounds good.
All right, so here are some things you already know. Variable, we've talked about these. It's just a letter that represents, or it could be a symbol, that it represents a number that can change or is unknown.
Could it be any letter?
It could be any letter, and it could be any symbol.
Okay.
Right now we are going to be using tiles to represent those. So it can be objects, it can be anything that's unknown. Previously, you might have used boxes where you had to fill in an unknown box. That variable was the box. You already know about order of operations, okay? We have talked about that. I use PEMDAS. You might have remembered, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Can you tell me a little bit about what you know about order of expressions?
Well, I know a little bit. Sometimes I get a little bit confused, but I've got the general stuff down, I think, especially like with multiplication and division. But sometimes I get a little bit mixed up.
So that's great. So I will help you with that if we're getting mixed up. I have it written on the board. First, we're going to do parentheses when we look at an expression, then exponents. Today, we won't see either of those in these expressions. And then there's multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. So we're really going to be working with these two. Always multiply and divide first, and then we're going to add and subtract. Okay?
Okay.
Some new vocabulary that's going to come up today are something we haven't talked about. Now, you know about integers. We know about numbers that are used in expressions, but we're going to start putting a vocabulary term to this. A constant, okay, is an integer or a number that does not change, okay? The variables can change, our letters can change, and that can change our answer to a problem, but our constants aren't going to change. And a constant can be positive or negative. That means we're adding to the expression, to the total, or we're subtracting to the total, okay? So it could be plus 9 or minus 9.
So
positive and negative.
A constant can be positive or negative.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And we're going to be working with expressions. Today it's going to be with unknown variables. An expression is one or more numbers, variables, or numbers and variables, that's what we're going to do, with one or more operations. So our operations again, order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction. A term is a part of that expression that involves a sum or a difference. I will show you that later, where I will identify the terms on our expressions that we go through. And then today we are going to talk a little bit about simplifying, and that's when we perform those order of operations by combining like terms. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of that today as well.
Sounds like a lot of stuff, but I think I can handle it.
I think you can. You're doing great already. These are our tiles in front of you, and I really appreciate, I like how you haven't touched them and you haven't started messing with them yet. Go ahead and start playing around. Those blue tiles that you have are going to represent positive integers. The red ones are going to represent negative integers. Those are for our constants. And then the green rectangles are going to be our variables. Do you have any questions about that?
Okay, blue, positive, red, negative, and green are kind of the variables.
The variables,
Okay.
those unknowns, those things that can change.
Okay, sounds cool.
Okay, so first I'm going to show you how I use these tiles to represent an algebraic expression. So I'm going to do this by thinking out loud and using your tiles to show you how I would solve this equation. In plus 3in. So can you please point to the variable in this expression? Do you see where the variable is at?
Maybe is it this?
Yeah. So n is going to be represented by our long rectangular green, because that's a variable. I have n, just one n, and now I need to add 3n. So I'm just going to keep on grabbing my n's till I have 3 more, because I'm adding 3 more. All of these are variables, right?
Right.
3 next to the n means that we're multiplying that n 3 times. So I have 3 n's plus this one additional n. And now I'm just going to count my n's. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 n's. Well, look at that. I've just simplified my expression because I combined the terms.
I get it.
My first term was the 1n. My second term was 3n. And I combined them, so I have simplified.
Okay, that's pretty simple to understand.
It's pretty simple. What do you feel about the algebra tiles? Do you like those? Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It helps having those colors to keep things straight.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
All right, so we're going to do one together now, okay? I'm going to switch this out for you. Now we have 5n plus 9. So let's break it down. First, we're going to recognize order of operations, okay? I'd like to do the multiplication and division first.
Okay, so you take 5 times n.
Yeah, that's right. That is our first order of operations. So what tile should we use?
Probably the green one, I suppose, shouldn't you?
Yeah, are we representing a variable?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, we are, because of that letter. We can identify the variables by symbols and letters, and we see a letter, so let's go ahead.
Okay, so put 1 n right here.
Okay. Is that enough?
No, because it's 5 n's.
Okay.
So I've got to do 5 of them, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay. I'm getting them right here.
You're doing great.
2, 3, 4, and one more. 5n. There you go.
Okay, excellent. That looks great. All right, so we can move on to the next step of order of operations. We could do addition and subtraction. Do you see a constant that we can represent in this equation?
Well, there's a plus.
Yeah, a plus. So what kind of tile do we need for a plus?
Okay, I've got to add something plus. I guess that'd be the blue tile, right?
Right,
okay.
Yeah. That is right.
Okay, so it says 5n plus 9, so I'm supposed to put 9 blue tiles?
We're going to put 9 blue tiles out.
Okay. There we go. Got 9 of them.
This looks good. Okay. Now, is there any way for us to simplify this expression? Can we combine any terms?
Well, I don't know, because the n is the green bar, and the 9 is the
right, and
the
those
red.
are totally different shapes,
different.
right? So we can't combine
they're different.
them. Yeah.
Right.
So we're not going to do anything. You've completely represented this expression with the tiles.
I see. Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and move on. Clear the page. Now I'm going to have you do this one on your own.
Okay.
I'm going to remind you that we're working with positive and negative integers, right? Those constants.
Okay.
So this one might be a little tricky. We have on your sheet 4x minus 5.
All right, 4x. So I guess I got to find the variable first, right?
If that's your order of operations, then
I think so.
Okay.
I think it is. So I'm going to find that x, and it says there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
So I'm putting down 1, 2, 3. There's 4x. Now the next thing, I got to subtract, so it's going to be a negative number. That'd be the red, and it's minus 5. So put down minus 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we got 4x minus 5. And they're red tiles because those are negative.
Okay, do you feel like this is complete?
I think that's all we can do because those are different. Those are different symbols.
Yeah, you've expressed this algebraic problem with the manipulatives. Now, our next lesson, we're going to learn how to put in a number 4, what these represent. So I'm going to give you a kind of an example of it. Let's say x is 1. We would just place our positive ones over these because now our variables, we know what they are.
Right, okay.
And then, then we could combine like terms. So since these are the same shape, we can cancel each other out. A positive and a negative get rid of each other. And we would have something left. So that's what we're going to move on next. We've learned what the tiles represent. We've learned how to use those to express and represent an algebraic expression. Next step, we're going to start putting in numbers for those variables and see what happens. See what we can do with those.
Looks like we can do a lot of different things when you have different numbers and different variables.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel about the tiles? Do you like this strategy? When would you use it?
I would use this working out any kind of a problem that had positive and negative, because blues are positive, reds are negative, so you can kind of compare the two. If you got more of one than the other, it's going to be more of a positive. If there's more positive, if there's more negative than positive, that's going to be a negative.
I like using these because then I can automatically see that it's negative or positive, and I don't get confused with my operations because I've already represented them with colors and with shapes. I also like this for when we get to word problems because sometimes we don't have this expression right out for us. So if we can do that visually as we're reading a word problem, it makes it very easy for us to then write our equation in the form you have in front of you. So this strategy, this tool helps me with word problems. So next lesson, we'll probably try to do some of those word problems too.
Cool, that sounds like fun.
Yep. All right, thank you so much. You are finished.